As a massive horror fan, when a new horror film comes out, I usually do go in with very high expectations, especially when going to the cinema and seeing it on the big screen, or if it's just come to streaming and I've been waiting forever. But there has been a few occasions, for whatever reason, where my expectations have been lower and I've just assumed that it's not going to be a favourite of mine. I've assumed that I'm not going to love the film, but then I watch it and it pleasantly surprises me and I'm proven wrong. Today I thought it would be really fun to talk about some of those films that have surprised me and exceeded my expectations, starting with a horror comedy from 2024 called Y2K. This one is set on New Year's Eve in the year 1999, the day before the year 2000. We follow two school friends that crash a party, but the whole night ends up being completely chaotic when technology takes over. Computers, TVs, just all technology is transforming into violent robots that want to take over humanity. This is a horror comedy. It's very fast-paced and action-packed. Does it perfectly depict the 2000s? Definitely not. But is it a fun, hilarious, easy watch? For me, it is. The humour does feel reminiscent of 2000s comedies. It kind of reminds me of films like Superbad. It also kind of felt a little scary movie at times, but never as silly and slapstick as those, but definitely has silliness and is just very heavy on the comedy. The storyline is good, but not super strong. It's a simple premise and very easy to follow. Although it may not be a perfect portrayal of the 2000s, as someone who grew up in that decade, it does feel very nostalgic and it is very exciting to see lots of things from the 2000s on the screen. I love the references. This is definitely a film that I could see myself watching again and again when I just want something fun and comforting. I love the fashion, the set design. I think it was really well casted. The soundtrack is amazing. I think this is kind of an underrated A24 film. Tech horror is a favourite of mine, so those moments were very exciting to see. Although not done in the typical serious way that I usually love, it was kind of fun to have a comedic twist. Reminds me of the film The World's End. So if you like that film, I would definitely recommend this. It's also not too long at only 91 minutes. This is the kind of film that needs to stay short, otherwise it would just drag on. It has its fair share of flaws. With comedies, I feel like plot holes and flaws are more forgiving when they are full of stupid moments from characters and in the storyline anyway. I'm just upset that it took me so long to watch this one. I don't know why I put it off. I honestly didn't see much marketing for it when it came out. I haven't heard that many people speaking about it. I don't even know if I saw the trailer or even saw many posters for it at all around the time it was released. When I've looked this up, it kind of has mid-average reviews, which wasn't getting me too excited. I don't actually know if this had a massive release in the UK. Probably one of those cases where it was only in a select few cinemas. Probably not a cinema anywhere near me. You can stream Y2K on Now TV Cinema and Sky Go. The next film is actually one that came out this year, which ended up being so fun, and that was Lee Cronin's The Mummy. A young girl called Katie ends up getting taken while she is playing outside by a strange woman claiming to be a friend. Her family are absolutely distraught, obviously. They just spend every waking moment trying to find their daughter, but just have no luck. 8 years later, Katie is found, and she's actually found in a sarcophagus after a plane that was transporting her crashes. They find the sarcophagus, look inside, and she's in there. So she's returned home to her parents and two siblings after being found in these very shocking conditions. Her family have to spend a lot of time rehabilitating her into the family and just into life again after everything that she's been through in those 8 years that she was kidnapped. Rightfully so, she seems very different, but maybe not in the way that they were expecting. This is a gross, squeamish, but absolutely action-packed wild ride. It keeps you on the edge throughout and just doesn't give you a moment to breathe. At times, it almost feels like you as a viewer are caught in this claustrophobic sarcophagus trap with the never-ending nightmare scenes, but luckily the grip loosens a bit with the over-the-top horror that feels comical and reminiscent of the Evil Dead franchise, particularly Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, although the whole franchise does have comedy elements, with the Deadites having a kind of cheeky charm to them. This is very much not like the original The Mummy film or any of the films in that original franchise. It's very different. It's Lee Cronin's take. It goes in a completely different direction, which is one reason why I could imagine fans of the original The Mummy going to see this and being disappointed because it isn't anything like that. It's a very modernized take that just feels like it belongs in the Evil Dead franchise. Having this title was an interesting choice. For me personally, I think the biggest reason why I thought I wouldn't love this film is because I'm not massive on the originals. The horror comes in so many different ways. Terrifying visuals created by incredible, intricate practical effects. We have a dark and eerie tone, especially in tense scenes, and then just the whole plotline being psychological torment for these parents, and us seeing the horror and the horrible things happening to a child, quite a young child. That definitely makes it more disturbing and unnerving, her being so young. And we also just have some sick and twisted injury detail visuals. I was also a bit hesitant for this one just because I wasn't a massive fan of Evil Dead Rise, also by Lee Cronin. I thought it was a good film, but part of the Evil Dead franchise didn't really feel like it fit in for me personally. I think I would have enjoyed it more as a film outside of that franchise, which may be why I really enjoyed this film, because it feels like an Evil Dead film, but it's not part of the franchise. I don't think Lee Cronin's The Mummy is perfect by any means, but for a fun and bonkers horror film, it is close. It has so much rewatchability for me, and I was surprised by how much fun I had seeing it on the big screen. You can stream this on Sky Go and HBO Max. My next one is a creepy crawly creature feature with Sting. A 12-year-old girl called Charlotte finds a little spider and decides to keep it as a pet. She really wants a pet but isn't allowed, so this is just her little secret. It's just a random spider that she found in her home, so she doesn't really think that this is a big deal. She takes care of this spider that she has named Sting, but notices rapid growth and some unique eating habits and just some uniqueness in general. She asks a knowledgeable neighbour to look at it, but Sting ends up on the loose in the apartment building and is only getting bigger and hungrier. Now everyone who lives in the apartment building is in incredible danger. This film is such a love letter to wacky 80s slashers and creature features. It's incredibly self-aware. I know this won't be for everyone, but I also do think when watching this, you need to be open-minded and really just see how self-aware this film is and see how it plays into the ridiculousness and has this satirical on-the-nose humour. Like the little girl being called Charlotte, they are being silly with it because of Charlotte's Web. It's actually shot so beautifully. We have some really cool lighting. It's a film that you can tell a lot of work and detail has gone into, which I do really appreciate and notice. I love horror films set in an apartment building. It just feels so claustrophobic, especially when they're trapped in, and in this case even more so with the heavy snow outside. I do want to give a quick warning for animal death and pet death. That is the biggest downfall for this film for me. Obviously it's not real. I do have to say that because unfortunately in some horror films it is real. You can rent Sting on Prime Video, Apple TV, Google Play Movies and the Sky Store. The next film that exceeded my expectations is Him. I didn't get to see this one at the cinema, but I really enjoyed it when I finally saw it at home, which did surprise me because all I knew about it beforehand is that it was about American football, and I personally am not really interested in sports or football at all. I honestly was surprised by how good it was after seeing discourse online and reading reviews that weren't that great. I saw a lot of people either giving it lower reviews or just kind of mid reviews, so that's kind of where I set my expectations. We follow a footballer called Cam who suffers a life-changing and career-ruining head injury whilst out on the field. His lifelong hero, who is a mega famous quarterback, offers some coaching and training to teach Cam everything he knows about playing football. Although Cam probably shouldn't accept because of his head injury, this is just an absolute dream for him, so he literally just can't say no. This means everything to him, so he travels to this legendary quarterback's massive private estate to begin some strict sessions that end up being far more intense than Cam could have ever imagined. This is of course a sports horror film, which is a subgenre, a category I haven't really delved too much into, mostly because I don't think there are that many sports horror films. When I think of sports horror films, I think of films like Black Swan, Suspiria, The Battery, maybe even The Descent if we're talking outdoors, extreme sports kind of horror films. I guess even Fall would count, but I've never seen a film like Him before. This was so much more brutal and violent than I thought it would be. It also has a kind of weirdness to it, which I really appreciated. You can stream Him on Now TV Cinema. Next we have a creepy but sad film by Rob Savage with The Boogeyman. After the tragic death of their mother, two sisters and their father are just left with a massive hole in their lives. They have to learn to work through their grief for themselves and to just be there for each other, even though it feels absolutely impossible at times. The girls start to be pursued by a sinister entity in their home, starting with the youngest sister seeing something inhuman lurking in the shadows. They are desperate to get their dad to listen before it's too late. This has such an eerie feeling with so many dark and shadowy shots around the home where you never know what is lurking in the corner, and half the time there is something lurking in the corner. We have use of vibrant, colourful lighting in some dark scenes, like red lighting, which is an absolute favourite element of mine in horror. Watching this at the cinema, it really creeped me out and got under my skin. I think what really helped me immerse myself in this one and feel so scared alongside the characters is that the characters are so easy to connect with. The character development and relationships between the family members just felt so raw and real as we follow them through this absolutely horrific tragedy and just watch as they try to piece things back together again, but then have to deal with a absolutely massive stress when they're already dealing with so much. This whole film is very heavy on the grief, and I think watching this at a time for myself where grief was and has been a big thing in my own life over recent years, it's definitely made an impact on me and left a lasting impression in a good way. I think this could be why I would like this film more than others. I guess when we watch films that we resonate with and just kind of mean things to us in our own lives, it makes us enjoy them more, even if it is kind of like a sad connection. I'm honestly so shocked, and it's really sad to me with how many negative reviews this film has. I feel like I'm the only one who really loved it. I thought it was so beautiful with the story and character development. It stars Sophie Thatcher, who I've recently spoken about how much I love her in horror projects. I will always check out a film if she's in it. You can rent The Boogeyman on Prime Video, Apple TV, Google Play Movies, and the Sky Store. The last film in this video today is maybe a bit of a silly one, but I think it's a really good film, and that is Cocaine Bear. After a criminal throws a massive amount of drugs out of his plane, which land in the middle of a forest, is found by a bear who starts eating the substance, causing it to go on a violent outbreak rampage. It starts attacking hikers in the area because where this is happening is very near a popular walking area. Rangers and hikers now need to work together to do something about this crazed bear and also just try to get away from it. Obviously, as you can tell from the title and description, this is a silly film, but it is actually based on real events. I haven't looked too much into the real events. I love this film for a lot of the same reasons why I love the film Sting. It feels like a love letter to 80s campy horror. It has comical tones whilst also having a very engaging, fast-paced storyline with genuinely tense moments. Again, it's just such an easy watch. A silly popcorn watch, great for something comforting but not too intense. It's a good one if you want to watch a horror film but just need something not so serious. We get some quite gnarly, unexpected gore as well, and I do think the bear looks really good for CGI. We have so many quote-unquote bad B-movie horror films, especially creature feature ones, that still just have a kind of charm to them. And then we have films like Cocaine Bear and Sting, which have those elements from the cheesy B-movies, but takes it up a level with a bigger production and is just more well-made and polished. You can rent this one on Prime Video, Apple TV, Google Play Movies, and right here on YouTube. So that's the end of this video today. Let me know what horror film you watched with. Maybe you went in with low expectations, or maybe you just thought this isn't going to be for me, but then you ended up being pleasantly surprised. As always, thank you so much for hanging out with me today, and I'll see you again very soon.